Perek Lamed, the 39th chapter of the book of Tehillim. Lam Nasech Li Dutun, Mizmor LeDavid. So this is a Psalm of David, and it's for the director of the music, Yidutun. We have the name of some different directors, different composers, or direction say composer. David presumably is the composer, but different directors of the orchestra, of the group. There are others who try to say that Yidutun doesn't mean a person, but it means some sort of instrument that was created by the family of Yidutun. This name is mentioned in Divrei Hayamim in different places. Of musicians or people in David's court. So that's why those who think it's a person, but again, it could be an instrument named after a person. But either way, set to music like we know. Amarti eshmira dirachai mechato vilshoni. I said, I'll guard my ways from sinning with my tongue. I'll guard my mouth. Eshmira lefi machston be'od rasha linegdi. I'll guard my mouth with a muzzle as long as the wicked person is in front of me. Ne'elamti dumia hechasheti mitov uchavi nechar. I became dumb with silence. I was quiet about my good, and the pain disfigured me. Cham libi b'kirbi b'hagigi tivar eish dibarti b'lshoni. My heart was hot within me. In my voice a fire burned. I spoke with my tongue. Hodieni Adonai kitziu midat shamai mahi eda mechadel ani. God, inform me, tell me of my end. Tell me the measures of my days. Let me know when I will no longer be. Hine tifachot natati yamai v'chedli kai neidechach kol hevel kol adam nitzav sel. Behold, you made my days like handbreadths. My age is as nothing. Indeed, it is certain that every man is just hevel. And then we have the word sela, which means either forever or more proper, or perhaps, as others say, means that it's the end of sort of that musical part of this piece of Tehillim. And this verse 6 is of the verses here sort of is in many ways the most interesting for a couple of different. First of all, it says tefachot, like a tefach. It doesn't even say an amma. My life is so short. It's not even right. It's not even 4 feet long. It's a 6 inches long. It's a foot long. It's a very short amount of period. It's not even an amma. It's only simply a tefach. And then every man's life is hevel, and hevel means vanity, which means you could say that your life is purposeless. But when we think hevel, we think, of course, the book of Kohelet, hevel havalim amar Kohelet, and that's where the idea of a vanity or a breath. It's just a very short period of time, or the idea of hevel, which of course comes from the character of hevel, the son of one of the first two sons of Adam and Chava. Hevel is killed by his brother. Hevel lives a short period. Hevel lives a very purposeless life. He tries, he connects with God, and what happens to him? He's killed by his brother. So this verse and this up to this point in this chapter, this is a chapter that's very very sad. I'm going to say harsh. I'm going to say difficult things. I'm trying to guard my tongue and not say something about it. But life is Hevel. Life is something that's very difficult for me, says the Mishorer. I can't understand it. And he continues that with another verse. Ach betzal mitalech ish, ach hevel yehemayun yitzpor velo yeda mi osfam. Man walks, and but it's all vain. Man makes piles, but does not know who will gather them. That again comes back in a sense to Hevel. We didn't study yet the book of Kohelet, but one of the ideas of the book of Kohelet, coming from the idea of Hevel, is in chadash tachar hashemesh kol hanachalim olchim el hayam vayam einenu maleh. No matter what you do, it's no purpose. It doesn't do anything. I should say it's no purpose, but it doesn't achieve anything, doesn't accomplish anything. Just like Hevel brings these korbanot, connects with God. God is happy. What happens to him? He's killed. All the rivers, they go into the sea, deeds and more good deeds. It never fills up. The book of Kohelet is full of questions about what are we doing? It doesn't work. It doesn't matter. Like I remember somebody said to me, talking about an Israeli-Palestinian peace proposal years ago that somebody came in and saw. I don't know if it was an Israeli saying to Palestinian or vice versa at Camp David or somewhere. They were walking on the treadmill and they said, you're walking on the treadmill is like a metaphor. We walk, we're moving, we think we're moving, we think we're going forward, but we're still at the same place. We're not going anywhere. We're not getting forward. And that's the difficulty of the book of Kohelet. That's the harsh reality of the life of Kohelet and the challenge of that book. And here too, I'm making piles, but who's going to gather them? And continues verse 8, V'ata ma kiviti Adonai, tochalti lecha hi. Now, for what am I waiting for, God? My hope is for you. So here's a transition in a sense, right? I can't accomplish these things that I want to unless God helps me. Rabbi Irving Yitz Greenberg, his whole theology is based upon the idea that man does and man moves and humanity is moving the world forward, but we need that God to sort of take us that last step, that last mile, to whether it be the first mile in pushing us or whether it be that last mile in helping us accomplish the goal. And that is the hope here. Without you, God, it's all the rivers run into the sea, but the sea never fills. There's nothing new under the sun. There's no sense of accomplishment. There's no sense of finishing the mission. And therefore, God, we need you to help us in order to bring us to that end, to bring us home as such. Continuing verse 9, Pasuk Tet Mikol Psha'ai Yitzilanu Cherpat Naval Al Tisimeni. Save me from my transgressions. Do not make me the sort of the victim, the reproach of a naval, of a base man, right? I'm trying to do good, and as he said many times in these chapters, others are looking at me and looking down on me. Ne'alamti lo eftach pi ki ata asita. I'm dumb. I won't open my mouth. For you did it, God, right? You've brought the affliction upon me, and you can remove them from me. And this is indicative of David, when David is running out from Yerushalayim, when he is the rebellion of Avshalom, and he's being cursed by Shimi ben Geir. We've mentioned this before, even within the context of Tehillim, let alone back in the book of Shmuel. And David's men, Abishai and Yoav, his very violent cousins, are ready to kill Shimi. And David says, let this, if this is what God is doing to me, if this is the punishment, let him have it. Let me have it. That should be the worst of it, is me being insulted and cursed at. So sometimes, right, you gave us a mouth, and sometimes we have to recognize when we need to be quiet, when we need to just accept what's happening to us before, and then after the acceptance, maybe then we can, move forward from there. Continuing verse 11, Pasuk Yud Aleph, Haser ma'alai nig'echa mitigrat yadcha ani chaliti. Take your strikes, your hits from me. I'm consumed by the hostility of your hand, right? The all of the suffering that I've had have been too much, God, and I put my hope in you. And I'm saying it's from you, God, that these things are happening. Betochachot al oven yasarti ish vatemes ka'ash chamudo ach hevel kol adam selah. With rebukes, you strike man down for his iniquity. By strike down, I mean kill him completely, but yisurid, you give him hits, potch, so that hopefully he'll get better. And like a moth, you melt his beauty away. Right, a moth, nothing. They were one day gone to the next day, and then because of that, he expresses this idea of hevel, which we mentioned before, Kohelet, and the original. All of man is vanity, or all of man is simply here for a moment, fleeting, doesn't accomplish anything, etc., etc. So again, right, I put my hope in you, God, but it's very hard for me to put my hope in you. You rebuke us, you're trying to help us, and then we're gone. And therefore, in verse 13, Shema tfilati Adonai v'shavati azina al dimati al techarash higer anochi imach toshav kechol avotai. He says, hear my prayers, God, and listen to my voice. Don't remain silent to my tears. And maybe the connection to the capital right before this, although there are many connections here to the suffering of man. But the last chapter ended with the idea of Husha le'ezrati, hasten to my aid, God, right? Adonai tishuati, be my salvation. This idea of being we have the similar words at the end of the last chapter. And so, right, listen to my voice. Don't remain silent. I'm a stranger with you. I'm just simply a toshav. I'm a sojourner. I'm not going to be here for so long. But just because I'm not here for so long doesn't mean you should treat me well. And of course, it's impossible to read this verse and not think of Avram when he says ger v'toshav anochi imachem. He says that to the chitim. Is it the chitim when he wants to buy Ma'arat HaMachpelah in Hebron to bury his wife? Ger v'toshav. I'm not here for a long time. But just think about it. You have a guest comes to your house. They're going to be there for an hour. They'll be here for 2 hours. They'll be there 3 hours. Do you not treat them right because they're a guest? Because they're not there full time? Because they're not somebody who's no, I might only be here for a short period of time, but that doesn't mean, God, that you shouldn't, you need to listen to me. And I'm hoping for you. Continuing 14, Hasha mimeni va'avliga beterem elech ve'eineni. Turn away from me and I will regain strength before I go and am no more. And this is referring back to the afflictions. Right? Turn away from me, bring the afflictions away from me, and then I will regain strength. Then I will be happy. Okay, and this is a difficult verse here, and this is it's hard not to see this verse and think about this is a person who's in a lot of difficulty, who's in a lot of pain, who sees God as inflicting him or her with pain and with difficulty, and it's very similar to the book of Eov. It seems very, very similar to the idea of suffering that's coming and life being very, very hard and very, very difficult and not getting that answer, not really getting the answer that they want, that that things will turn out right as we have in other, as we have in many of the other chapters in Tehillim and prayers in Tehillim. But in the centerpiece of the chapter is that verse, which in a sense is at the essence of this, of the person who's suffering, is verse 8 again. Adonai tochalti lechahi. Now, what do I do, God? My hope is for you. Right? Am I just supposed to wait? Am I just supposed to hope? One thing is I hope, I wait for you, God. Another thing is you could say tochalti lechahi. The person is saying, I'm going to have to sort of come to you to make this happen. I'm going to have to I'm going to have to open up the gates. And so, you can hope for God, you can wait for God, and sometimes you feel that God answers you very quickly, and sometimes it seems very harsh, as it is in this chapter, where it seems like it's a long time. And this is one of those chapters that sort of expresses that the difficulty when you don't get the answers, when you don't get the, you can't see where you're supposed to go, how you're supposed to do things, how you're supposed to get out of a difficult, terrible situation. And that hope is there and it remains. And part of the challenge is don't just hope for God, but start to move in the direction yourself, to the direction, and hopefully leave those problems behind.